Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Refined Savage Podcast. Viking Coffee. Hey, Evan Armstrong at Viking Coffee. Been with us since day one. He wants you to know that he has the best coffee out there. There's no doubt about it. I can't say enough good things about it. Try our Old Man Strength coffee, but he's got a whole bunch of different flavors for you. Give him a holler. And while you're there, grab some of his other coffee brands and check out his hats and mugs. Also, all good stuff. Cerberus Strength. Hey, guys, I want to see you Highland Games guys, especially wearing Cerberus. The Strongman guys already know the game. They know what's up. They've been using Cerberus gear for a while now, and I am looking forward to see Cerberus gear on a lot of you Highland Games people out there this year. Look, I've used all the stuff that's out there, you know. Hey, maybe Cerberus doesn't have some, you know, weird guy making YouTube videos about their products. They don't need to. They got really good shit. Give them product. Give them some money. Get some products from them. They are the best around. I highly recommend. Cerberus-strength.us if you need knee sleeves, knee wraps, belts, wrist wraps, elbow sleeves, sandbags, smelling salts, tacky, whatever you need. They have everything you need. Cerberus-strength.us. Use the code REFINEDSAVAGE10 at checkout. There's CBD oil all over the country. Everybody's got their own CBD oil. If you live in a state like Ohio, you're especially getting screwed over because the CBD oil here is nothing but basically essential oils. You might as well have one of these hippies in your house telling you how great essential oils are. It's all garbage. Check out Warrior CBD. Warrior CBD, I highly recommend. Love these people. Great customer service and a great product. Whether you need a little help going to sleep at night, you need a little help with anxiety, you've got a dog who's crazy and goes nuts at thunderstorms, or if you have some aches and pains, Warrior CBD is the brand to get. Check them out at warriorcbdofficial.com and use that code WARRIOR20 off at checkout for 20% off. Serious Steel. You know, there's a lot of companies you can go to for your home gym, your commercial gym, your box, whatever you got going. There's a lot of companies you can go and shop from. Serious Steel has the best customer service. They have the best prices. They have all the stuff you're still going to get from all these other international companies. But it's our people, man. They're our folks. Good company, great service. Love these guys. Big supporters of the show, and I want you to support them. SeriousSteel.com. Use the code SAVAGE at checkout for 10% off. Stay Classy Meats. I'm looking at the bottom of my box, man. I've got a couple packages of bison burger left. Always a sad time for me because I am 100% fueled on Stay Classy Meats. Nevertheless, best stuff on the planet. Small batch farms from Bozeman, Montana. These animals are treated humanely. No hormones, grass-fed, Montana streams. It's great. If you're not hunting, you should be getting your meat from Stay Classy Meats. Where else can you get meat just showing up at your house every month? Love it. Check them out. Use code SAVAGE at checkout at stayclassymeats.com for 10% off. Iron and Stone Strength out of Buffalo, New York. These guys are doing it right. These guys are neck deep in the strongman game. They've got a contest coming up in December called Festivus. That's going to be a fantastic competition. I am looking forward to it. While you're at their website, check out their gear. Hats, t-shirts. Their t-shirts are fantastic. I love them. Super comfortable, sweet looking designs. All the stuff we like as meatheads, you're going to love them. Check them out, ironandstonestrength.com. Use the code REFINEDSAVAGE at checkout for 20% off. Roadie Sport. Justin Roadie, 2012 Olympian. His Big Jolly Throws Clinic is coming up December 21st. Some of the best athletes in the nation coming out to coach people in the throwing events. Give him a holler. While you're there, check out the shot put glove for you people throwing heavy, overweight shots or stones or high volume or throwing in cold weather. That shot put glove is going to keep your hands healthy, keep you from bending those fingers back, which is a son of a bitch when it happens. So check him out at roadiesport.com. Use the code SAVAGESPORT, all caps, all one word, at checkout. And finally today, Speakeasy Leather. Speakeasy Leather making beautiful leather goods like wallets, like key fobs, like knife holders, anything you want. Give Robert a holler at Speakeasy Leather. Check them out on Instagram or at speakeasyleather.com. use the code. I've been forgetting to tell people the code. Who you guys might all be sporting brand new wallets right now, and I'm not even getting any credit for it. So the code is SAVAGE, all caps, 15% off. Go get yourself a wallet. Get rid of that freaking Velcro one your grandmother gave you 20 years ago. Today on the show, Dr. Ebner. Dr. is a fantastic human being. He is a strength coach down in Columbus, Ohio, and he is changing the game for his high school down there. Super smart guy. Beautiful high school weight room. Man, what a trip down there. It was great. Great conversation. I think you guys are really going to dig this one. Share it with your friends. Have some Viking coffee. Eat some Stay Classy meats. And we'll see you at the end. All right. Dr., where are we right now?
All right, so we're at Olentangy Orange High School in the weight room. And this is one location that I'm working out of.
This place is fantastic. So we went over to the main room, and it's like all set up, Sorinex, everything. They send somebody in to put it together for you, one of their operatives.
Yeah, Alex from Sorinex came up.
Yeah.
He put it all together, and like he was the one that Jason, the other strength coach I work with, they were in contact with each other for design and like all the 3D renderings and stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it was cool. It was such a fun experience, like looking at the magazine and like almost like Christmas morning.
Right. I used to throw with Bert. He was a pro Highland Games guy he didn't stay on the circuit too long with business and family and everything. But I think we threw together for like maybe 2-3 years before he retired. But it's nice to see those guys doing well. They're putting it all together down there, and you go in all these schools now, and it's Sorinex everything.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely cool.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you do here at the high school? And you have a couple different things. You know, I got your name from Dan, and he said I had to get a hold of you to get you on the show, and you had some interesting things going on. But let's start with what you do here at the high school.
All right. So, I'm a physical therapist, and I'm also a strength coach. And I come here with part of my week, 40-hour work week, is that I come to the high school here, and I will just strength train kids and try to implement different things that I've learned through physical therapy and how the body moves into strength conditioning and weight training. So that way, hopefully these kids end up being better athletes, more well-rounded and more durable to hopefully make them better on the field, and then secondary just help reduce injuries.
Yeah, durability. That's so often overlooked. And you work for Ohio State, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and is it the same thing Dan goes through, where he's sent out from the college, kind of?
Yes.
Yeah, really cool program. You know, we talked a little bit on his podcast about high schools still look at the strength coaching job in most places as kind of an afterthought, almost like the team manager or something. It's like, oh, well, you know, Coach John used to lift in high school. Let's let him run the weight room, you know, and it should be the most important job on the team, really, to keep these kids healthy and get them in shape.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's so important because it makes a better product. So that way, the coaches, they can go implement a faster athlete, a stronger athlete into all their skill development and hopefully get more wins, because I mean that's what we all like.
I was a strength coach for 3 years with a high school. I couldn't go back to working with kids. Parents are the problem. But when I went and the guy asked me to come in and kind of apply for the job, I said, look, I don't want to coach your defensive linemen. I don't want to coach your offensive players. I just want to give you a better weapon, and then you take it and run with it. And he loved that idea. I didn't interfere with anything he did. He didn't interfere with anything I did. And I just got the kids in good shape, and I worked with the athletic trainer. And, you know, I think that's so important to make sure, oh, yeah, Johnny can do this or Johnny can't do that. Let's work together instead of it being an adverse relationship with each other.
Yeah. I think it's huge when you can almost have like different roles, like let me strength train and then you can do all your coaching. I don't know anything about some of the sports, especially like I played football, but like I don't know anything about soccer, but I strength train the soccer kids.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be out there trying to draw up plays or anything like that. So it's always nice to I'm gonna let you do your thing, let me do my thing, And luckily, like, we haven't had too many like issues with like stepping on each other's toes or anything like that.
How when you were brought out here, how were you accepted by the coaches? I mean, was it a pretty smoothless transition? I know sometimes coaches, and I can understand it, are a little bit apprehensive about, am I going to turn over my program to this person I don't even know?
So luckily, when I came here, like, Dan already had like the contract, and there was already some other coaches that were here before me. Malcolm Majeski.
Oh yeah.
He was the first coach here, but he left for the Ashland job. And then there was a second coach that followed him up, and then he went to like a private sector sports performance job. And then I came in. So like they had already kind of established some of the expectations and roles to where like this is what we do. So like the sport coaches, when they came in, it's just pretty much like I introduced myself, sort of told my background, and then like, all right, let's roll. Let's try and get the athletes in.
It's got to be once they trust you and once that relationship has been established, it's got to be such a weight off their shoulders, because it's like, here's a guy who's going to do this big hunk of the job for him, who is qualified and skilled, and they really and not talking negatively about football coaches at all, but a lot of them just don't have that skill set. Just the same way I don't have the skill set to coach a defensive back, and I would be faking it if I was trying. So here's my team. Just go make them better.
Yeah, I think it's nice for them because it's one less thing on their plate. They can just kind of go in there and like just. Like as they're lifting, a lot of the coaches come in and kind of watch. Like they can just kind of talk, like in downtimes, talk to them. Like keep building that coach-athlete relationship, build that trust, which I think is huge. Like I want to make sure that those athletes and coaches have that relationship, because that's when they need it. They need that relationship when it comes down to game time and practice time. So.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I would really like to see Ohio State expand. I don't know if they're doing much outside the Columbus area, but up where we are in the Cleveland area, it's goddamn horrible. I mean, it's watching people post videos, kids in these programs posting videos, or I get parents who come to my gym and say, we don't think he's getting what he needs at the high school. And in most cases, when a parent comes to me and starts complaining about high school coaches, I just go, oh, Jesus, here we go, and roll in the eyes. But I can kind of see their point when it comes to strength and conditioning and these things. You have 60 kids, 70 kids, who knows, in a program. You have a coach who's probably not qualified to be in there, and he's having to get all these kids through a workout and safely and effectively, and none of them are squatting to depth. None of them are touching their chest when they bench press. None of them are doing any kind of or having some kind of fire drill or something.
No, that's change of period. It must be.
Okay. So, I can see where their frustration lies. Not that they probably know much more about the coaches, but then, I have to fill in all those blanks and get these kids ready, which is where I make my money. But
yeah, I mean, I can 100% see that. It's hard to view that because where I'm at now, we have such a good relationship. I think it's always tough when there's been times where we have athletes where they end up, we'll be strength training here, and then they'll also go to other places like privately to strength train. And like when they then talk about some of the stuff that we do here, it's almost like, because we're not private and like charging money, that like we're almost giving a less than adequate product.
Right, of course.
So
Sure.
like it's almost because we're provided by the school that we're not as good as someone out there privately. And I can kind of see that at times based off numbers, but still, like I feel like we're like what we do here is on par for a lot of stuff. I mean, the numbers may not be the same, but I mean, like we're doing some pretty high level stuff. I mean, I feel like this is closer to a college level weight room program than a lot of what you would normally think of for high school.
Well, when I look at it, and this is the second school I've been to, what school is Dan at?
He's at Olentangy Liberty.
Right, okay. So it's the second high school I've been down here in the last month and a half, and I've looked at, and I haven't got to see you guys go through a workout with the kids, but the professionalism, the quality of the equipment, the background of the coaching staff, and the availability of other professionals, whether they be PTs or doctors or athletic trainers, and everybody working together. I don't see you're going to get that at any sports performance center. We have sports performance centers up by us, and they pop up all the time, and it's almost like you said, with the money, it's the more they charge, and it's a business thing. The more they charge, the more the parents think, "Oh my God, this must be really fantastic." But it all comes down to the coaching and the knowledge that the coach has, and there are plenty of people out there, and I don't even know if you have to have a CSCS to open a sports performance center. I'm guessing you don't, but just because you have a CSCS doesn't mean you have any real background in lifting a weight, or there's when I've looked at, I don't have a CSCS, but I've looked at the coaching material, and there's a lot of that stuff on there that I wouldn't be able to pass unless I had a nursing background or something, but
yeah, I like the CSCS, but I feel like it's kind of it's a good entry point. So I've heard the analogy where people say it's almost like a lifeguard. Like, you have the certification, you can lifeguard, but then you have different levels. Like,
yes,
you could lifeguard at your YMCA, but then there's also lifeguarding down at like South Beach, like where there's crazy waves totally different levels. So it's a good entry point, but you still got to be a lifelong learner where you're reading up on all sorts of stuff, and you're constantly evaluating your product. You're just doing everything you can to just get better.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff out there now. When I was, how old, are you?
I'm 34.
Okay, so I'm 46. When I was coming up, there was no information because there was no internet.
Yeah.
So you were having to drive to places and talk to guys, and now it's all at your fingertips. But it's almost it's overwhelming, the amount of stuff that's out there. But there's no excuse for you not to continue learning
for sure
after you get those certifications.
And especially I feel like we're super lucky being in Columbus.
Yes.
Or just Ohio.
Yeah.
There's stuff all over the place. I saw Malcolm's doing hosting a strength seminar.
I'm speaking at it.
Oh, you're on? Sweet.
Yeah.
I might have to go check that out. But then down here, Ohio State holds a strength conditioning thing.
Yeah.
And SCA hosts some, and then there's other private stuff. There's 4 or 5 private gyms that I could probably think of off the top of my head.
Sure,
where they have high level guys that are teaching stuff. So I feel like it's almost sometimes overwhelming. I have all these options to choose from.
Yeah. We do other things on the podcast other than strength and conditioning, but I couldn't do this podcast if I wasn't in Ohio, because I do all these in person. I don't do any of them via Skype or telephone. And all I have to do is get on Instagram or get on my phone and say, "Hey, you want to do a podcast next week?" And there's an endless supply of people in the strength and conditioning field, whether it's power lifters or Olympic lifters or strongman or coaches. It's just an unlimited supply of people to go through. And, you want to talk to them more than once because they'll have more stories and more information to give you. And this is the place. And everyone wonders, well, why is the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio? All you have to do is live here for a few years and you'll figure that out, because it's everything you need in the strength and conditioning community. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. So how many athletes are you working with on a daily basis? How many teams? And
so the way we kind of have it organized here is that there's there's another strength coach, Jason McKendrick. He's actually a employee of the school, and he's a PE teacher, strength coach, and he has classes during the day for weight training. So pretty much all the football athletes and baseball, depending on the time of year for baseball, and basketball, they'll all lift during the day, and then after school we'll have lifting groups also. So that's where we'll maybe get some teams that may not be as weightlifting driven. So maybe your girls lacrosse, swimming, wrestling, some of those, or other teams that were like they really want to keep that team identity, where like instead of having a few kids in one lifting class, a few kids in the other. And so that's kind of the setup we have to get them all in. And the
that
way
must work really nice for you.
Yeah, it makes the numbers manageable.
Yeah.
And we feel like we can get everyone in. So like we'll get boys and girls tennis, gymnastics, swimming, all these sports that traditionally haven't been like strength training in high school. I remember when I was in high school, which wasn't all that long ago. I graduated 2004. Like it was pretty much just football in there, and then we'd have like maybe wrestlers come in season to get an extra workout outside of just running and doing their sparring and stuff like that.
In 92 when I graduated, it was not a thing. We had a weight room probably about half the size of the one we're in now. So maybe it was, 25 by 25, 30 by 30, and maybe had one or two benches in it. It's not that long ago, 1992, and there was really no such thing as strength and conditioning in a high school scenario. And I always tell people I was not a great football player, but I was stronger than everybody else because I was lifting weights, and nobody else was doing that at the time. So this is a really young activity as far as coaching is concerned. It's, when I graduated from high school, I would have loved to have gone on to, become a strength and conditioning coach, but they just didn't have that. That wasn't an option unless you were Boyd Epley. You didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
So it's nice that you guys have that you can get everybody through here now.
Yeah. And then with everyone coming in, like we kind of just divide up teams. So like he takes football, and then I take boys and girls soccer. So we just divide them half and half, and I have like full autonomy on what I want my teams to do. And he'll do the same thing for his. We always talk back and forth, pick each other's brain and stuff like that. But it's nice being able to like just be on my own, where I can come up with make sense in my mind based off my background as being a strength coach and also as a physical therapist. Is I will always try to look at like your common injuries for athletes, and then try to program in like stuff that I would do in the PT clinic for them in their workouts. So almost to try some like different level like prehab work exercises.
Right. Are you seeing? I noticed one of the things that we seem to get a lot of mostly when I was coaching track and field, we would get ACL injuries with females. Do you have any opinions on why that's such a common injury with them?
So based off a lot of research, I think a big reason why it happens is just the way that they develop. So like there was a seminar I went to, and it was talking about boys athletes as they like develop through puberty, like their strength continues to grow like almost like at the same level as their bodies. So like their bones grow and their strength grow at the same relative rate. Whereas females, their bones grow and then their strength comes along after. So there's almost like this time period right after like puberty and stuff. So their high school years where their bones and their dimensions are bigger than what their muscles can have.
Right.
So I think it's that's one of the factors as to why there is an injury. It's just because they don't have the strength to control the torques at their body, and also like I feel like another reason that like there's so much work on skill development that they have a higher level of skill than they have for strength to control it. Because most times when you get a non-operative ACL, it's when they're trying to like deaccelerate or something like that, or when they land, which is pretty much deaccelerating from a jump. So they're trying to control their body because they have the skill to do it, and they know like what they need to do, but they don't have the strength to do it. Yeah. And so their minds tell them like, I need to make this cut or this play, but their body just doesn't handle it at that time.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense why you see that so often. This is a good segue into your other, and we talked about the name of it and everything. So give us a little background on the other thing we were talking about.
So as a therapist, and I actually started this before I was here as a strength coach. I was just a 40-hour week PT, and I have been growing up like in football and weightlifting. I always had a passion to treat athletes that were strength athletes. So OSU has a bunch of different groups like endurance athletes, golf athletes that they almost have like a niche program for. And so I talked to my bosses about making one for strength training. So we made the barbell athlete performance group, and with that we have probably about 8 to 10 PTs in it, and we all have backgrounds in sports and lifting, and we all still lift. I mean, across the gamut. I mean, we have some that like CrossFit, some that like Olympic lifting, some that like powerlifting, and so we just all sort of work together to just let strength athletes in the area know, like, when you get injured, like, you don't have to just be like there's a safe place that you can go where you know you're going to get high care for your event, instead of going to someone that may not have experience with it. Because I mean, like, I'll do little education stuff for different PTs and within OSU, and I'll try and explain like high bar, low bar, and that's like almost like a mind blowing thing for some of them if they've never been in like strength sports. So we have this group of PTs that all train, and we all have a passion for it, and it's just a way to try to get the athletes out in the community to have a higher level care.
It's frustrating when you get an injury. If you're a high level athlete under a barbell, you have to put together a team of people at this point to put you back in line. You have to find chiropractors and PTs and massage therapists, but you have to find ones that when you go to them don't say, oh, we'll just stop lifting for 6 months. Well, I didn't need to go to medical school to know that if I stopped lifting for 6 months, that or injury would probably heal up on its own. But hey, I've got to do this meet in 3 months, so I've got to keep training. So that's a really interesting concept, to have people that are familiar with the actual event itself. Wow, what a mind-blowing concept, to actually give you advice on what you should be doing.
Yeah, and that's one of my biggest things. Like I tell all the PTs that we work with, like, don't ever tell them to stop. Like, give them and I mean, unless if there's something like big picture wrong, like they're gonna have like long-lasting nerve damage or something. Like, there is a point where like for your like safety, longevity, for just everyday life stuff. But I mean that's the small like 1-2%. But I mean, for the rest of them, like if they can't do something, like, give them modification. So I mean depending on what it is, like, give them a board bench, give them like a different variation on squats. Workaround it, so that way they can still train, they can stay in the gym, they can stay in their identity. Because the minute you tell a lifter not to lift, they don't know what to do. Yeah. And
or they immediately don't. I'm going to go find someone who will tell me what I want to hear instead of this.
Yeah, that happens too. So I mean, just trying to let them know that like they have an advocate, and that we want to help them do what they want to do. Yeah. Because we all like doing it too. And I mean, like, whenever I have like little nicks and stuff, like, and I maybe have to modify, like, it sucks. Like, no one likes it. So just trying to find a way to keep them doing what they want to do.
It's an important field to get into. And it's really cool that you have things like that. You have like functional medicine now is a popular thing. And again, this is stuff that when I was coming up, never would have, it wasn't a thing. You just didn't have this stuff. Are you dealing with a lot of like functional fitness athletes coming in who have crazy injuries from whatever?
I mean, we kind of see a little bit of everything. I mean, like, we definitely see your functional fitness athletes. But I mean, like, I've had like some pretty high level bodybuilders that have been at like the Arnold level and that just had freak stuff. I mean, like, one guy tore quad tendon squatting. Yeah. I mean, like, super, super high level and like doing all the right training is just, for some reason, his quad didn't hold up that day. Yeah. But we'll see a lot of that. But another thing that like we try to do is just let everyone know that like there's a point of strength in every person. like even like some of my like we would like a lot of people consider elderly like 70s and stuff like that. Like we try and can put like stuff for strength conditioning that like farmer's carries.
Sure, right, yeah.
Like or like goblet squats. Because I mean, if you're strong with that kind of stuff, then there should be no reason why that person can't go up and down stairs, can't get out of a chair, can't carry in their groceries.
Yeah. That's a really good point. We have, well, first of all, we have in our gym, my training philosophies over the years, I was a professional strength athlete, so I benched and I squatted and I deadlifted and everything was done with a bar. And now that I'm out, I want to be able to do everything, and I want my people to be able to do everything, and I want it to be more real world based. So we do a lot of heavy carries. We do squats holding an Atlas stone in our belly. We're flipping sandbags over our shoulders. We're running. We're doing calisthenic stuff. But we have a pair of 64-year-olds in the gym who are fantastic humans, and they both came in because originally they just wanted to be able to go skiing and hold up for a ski trip. And they've stayed for quite a while now. And I think if they were to tell their friends what kind of training they were doing, they would think they were crazy. But we have them doing heavy carries. We have them doing burpees because, I mean, they're not at this point yet, but there's a lot of 64-year-olds who, if they fall down, aren't getting back up again.
And if you can do a burpee, then you should be able to get back up. I think there's just so many other good health benefits to it. Like right now, I have a 70-something-year-old lady who's going to be doing a world in Toronto for disc shot hammer.
Oh, no shit. That's awesome.
Yeah, and we were talking. It actually totally blew my mind because I evaled her like a few weeks ago, and nothing was mentioned in the chart review. So I just saw it was like 70-year-old lady, like shoulder pain, and then like I get her back and she's like, I throw a shot, I do belt squats, I do all this stuff. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. And, I was so pumped, and we were talking about just training and health and stuff, and she said, my doctor thought that there was something wrong with me because my bone density was so good. The doctor thought she had some sort of like genetic abnormality. Right. And she's like, I think it's just the fact that I've lifted for as long as I can remember. And it's like, yes, like that kind of stuff is going to make your bone density better. It's going to make you stronger, going to make you healthier, and give you better longevity. And so like just like that was just a real world example of like how like strength training just helps out with everything. It's
I always talk about you go to Target and I see guys my age, and some of them look like they have one foot in the grave at 46 years old, and I'm like, maybe you should come out. We'll get you out, get you going to the gym. Oh, I can't do that stuff you guys do. My back hurts. All that stuff we can handle. We can fix all that stuff through training. And it's almost like, well, I'm 45 now. I'm 46. They're just coasting. They're coasting out the rest of their next 30, 40 years. And they're going to be miserable. Yeah, and they're just not going to have the quality of life because they don't have the capacity because they've just been coasting. Right. I mean, there's a natural decline when you age, but the more like you have in the tank before that decline, the slower that decline is. Yeah, and they don't take care of themselves. They don't eat right. They don't exercise. And I won't get your opinion on this because we are in high school, but I'm a firm believer in that they should be getting their testosterone levels checked and getting that, bumped up to normal places, just like women do when they have low estrogen. It's a matter of being able to you're not lifting weights to lift more weights. You're lifting weights and doing functional exercises so you can go for a hike with your grandkids. Yeah. And you can go to the water park and swim and that kind of stuff, and not have to just be the Jabba the Hutt sitting on the lounge chair watching everybody else have fun. I've kind of talked to my wife about this. I have two daughters, 7 and 4, and I kind of tell her like my goal is that when my daughters are old enough to be active and stuff, like I never want to have to miss out on something. Yeah. Like if they're like, hey, we're gonna go do this 5K or like half marathon or something like that, it's like, all right,
I'm going to be right next to you.
I'm in.
Yeah, or I mean, whatever. If they want to go hiking for a long time, or they want to do like a CrossFit competition, like, all right, old man's going to be next to you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at my fitness journey right now. Is I want to try and be healthy and strong and everything like that, so that way I can do whatever I want down the road.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's just a matter of, well, intelligent training, but continuing to train. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Don't stop. My wife thinks I'm a psychopath because I do something every single day, but it's not always, I might just ride an exercise bike or something, but I do something and I have this fear of slowing down and it getting away from you. And it can get away from you. People, at the age I'm at, in a couple weeks, you could see a noticeable change in fitness levels, and you just got to keep going. And I wish more people would. My biggest frustrations come with people my age and from people my son's age, like 13, 14, and they come into the gym and there's just no physical fitness about them at all. And now mom's like, can you help? Can we get this kid going? And I don't know what the physical education program is like here, but for a lot of places up where I'm at, it's almost non-existent anymore.
We have some good PE teachers here, and I know they do some good stuff with the kids as much as they can. It's hard at times because I think that the PE classes is almost where the kids go that don't want to be in the weight training program. Mm-hmm. So they almost get the kids that don't have any background with physical education. So it really like almost handcuffs the PE teachers on what they can do. I mean, if the kid can't go out and play like tennis or whatever because they've never been active, then it really kind of limits what they can do.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I could see where the PE teachers here get frustrated because like all the higher level athletes that would normally at a regular school be in PE playing all the different sports, they're in here lifting.
So all they get is the dregs of humanity, basically.
Yeah, and I don't want to blame the kids. I think it's just like a lot of it, like they've never been exposed to it. Like, they may come from a background where like physical activity wasn't important, where like family like really valued academics or other things. I mean, like more like culture stuff, like music, art, stuff like that. So, it's hard to like try and like figure out where to blame, but it's super frustrating because like there is such a disparity with like kids that like don't know how to move.
Yes, they can't jump rope, they can't skip, they can't bear crawl, anything like that. You know, stuff that really take for granted. I always talk about. I used to train primarily just junior high, high school, college athletes, and they would come into my facility so much more prepared than they come into now. And you could start them at a much higher level than you can now. And basically when they come in now, I have to go back and be a PE teacher and teach them calisthenics and body weight movements. And that's just where we're at.
Yeah, we have a pretty extensive warm-up where we do a lot of bear crawls, inchworms, and push-ups. I mean, like, just getting moving. I mean, or that and other just basic agility drills, like a hiney karaoke. Just get them running. And like, it's wild. Like you'll have athletes that will like, I mean, normally like the younger ones, like freshmen or eighth graders, when they come in, that like they'll just straight up trip over their feet on a back pedal. And but it's fun. It's cool to see athletes develop. Like they come in as like a freshman and stuff, and like they are like kind of Bambi on ice. Like they just can't control their body, and then within a year, like they're doing stuff better, stronger, and then like next year, like it's like you don't even have to like really worry about them as much because like they're pretty well refined. Like you can kind of just watch them like from afar, or just go watch them when you know they're doing something pretty technical.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I just had Jeff Swobel on the podcast from Kent State, and he was telling me about his Katana program. So it's pretty awesome. So he's the head football strength coach at Kent State, and when he gets the freshmen, the red shirt freshmen in who aren't going to be playing, he puts them in this group called the Katana group, and they do these insane workouts where like a couple days during the week they're lifting super heavy, but then on the weekends or on Friday I think it's Friday mornings because they're not going to the games. They do these insane metabolic conditioning workouts where he's just trying to test their mettle. Yeah. And he says it's awesome to watch these kids come in, and a lot of them have no strength training background at all. They were just good athletes in high school. And starting them small and kind of teaching them the ropes, and then getting to the point where they not only do these crazy workouts, but they're thriving in them and wanting more. So by the time they get to the point where they're actual solid freshmen, they are in such good shape that, again, the coach gets such a much better tool to work with than if they would have came right off the boat with no background at all. And, at that point, if you don't have a program like that, you're throwing them right under a squat bar to squat, and who knows what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. It was funny you mentioned the Friday morning stuff. When I first got into strength coaching under Dan, I was in PT school and I was out at Ohio Dominican. And so their coaches wanted the Friday non-travel freshman group to lift, and they kind of wanted the kind of beat them down workout. And the first one that exercise that sort of workout I gave them, I made a mental note, and then we would go through other stuff for next 4-6 weeks, and then a few weeks later I gave them the exact same one they did week 1, and they just killed it.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those guys, I know these Friday workouts suck, but you've gotten so much better. I mean, compare yourselves.
Sure.
And just gave them just that confidence boost and stuff like that. Because it's not fun being in that Friday group. I mean, when I was in college, I was in that Friday group, lifting at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. It sucks.
Everybody else is getting ready for the game. And, where'd you go to school at?
So, Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And did you play there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So I was a walk-on from 04 to 08.
Okay.
Offensive line.
Wow.
Yeah. So some good times.
So you walked on and made the team?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
My story is kind of interesting. I wasn't a preferred walk-on. In high school, I hurt my knee. So junior year, and I never played football before freshman year. So I had no tape to send out. And when I got in my senior year, no schools really wanted me. Besides, there's some D2 schools out in Pennsylvania. And when I went there, I saw the starting lineman there, and I was just as strong or stronger.
Right.
So I wanted to challenge myself, and my head high school coach knew the strength coach at OSU. So he's like, you know what? I could probably contact him, get you.
Who was that? Kennedy at that? Or not
no,
Kennedy? It was
Al
Lichter?
Johnson.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Al Johnson. So he got me a job being a weight room intern. And so I went in there, and for 2 weeks I was just putting away weights, hoping that way I'd get my face recognized. So that way when they had winter season tryouts, that the coach would be like, all right, he's paid his dues, let him on.
Give him a shot. Yeah.
And when they would be in practice, after I was done cleaning, Coach Johnson let me work out. So I was working out and I was jumping rope, and he's like, you have really good footwork. And so then he brought one of the personnel guys in. He's like, look at him. And then 48 hours later, I was on the team. I went through all the paperwork stuff, and it was just such a quick turnaround. I couldn't, my parents weren't even able to come out to that first game because logistics. So it was a different way to get on a team that I think is pretty cool.
It's a good lesson for parents out there, because a lot of these parents are tricked into combines and all these things where they're having to, get their kid showcased. Your kid, Ohio State's going to find your kid if they want him. They don't win national championships by accident. You don't have to spend $1 million getting your kid in a screwy combine in order for. Most likely, Ohio State's not even looking at that. They know what they're looking for and how to find them.
I mean, those schools by sophomore, junior year, they pretty much have their top few guys, and there's probably not too much that changes.
Yeah, what do they have to lose on a guy like you who comes in and walks on? They're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Diamond in the rough. Let's get him going. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I had a buddy. I'm trying to remember what year. No, he would have been way before you. But anyhow, but that's great. And then you go the traditional route through the strength coaching and getting your CSCS and all that stuff.
Undergrad, I was exercise science major. When I got done with that, I took a year off to finish my 5th year of football, and then I went into PT school, and I did my CSCS during that down year. And then in PT school, I just just tried to learn as much as I can on that front. Still like working out and everything. And then I met Dan when I was at an internship at one of the Ohio State clinics.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, we pretty much got introduced because he played for Tressel at Youngstown. I played for Tressel at OSU. So we pretty much got started off talking about like the Coach Tressel connection. And then at the very end of PT school, he had the job open up at ODU. And so he got me on the job through Ohio State for that. And then once I graduated in the middle of that, and then they hired me on as a PT. And so that's kind of
what was it story. Like playing for Tressel? He's a misunderstood character.
I love Coach Tressel.
Yeah.
He's exactly how he seems on TV. Like, very like to the point, even kill. Yeah. Like there's some coaches where I feel like in a media conference they're going to be very like politically like stick to agenda, but then like on the field they're just maniacs dropping F-bombs like just losing their mind. Coach Tressel wasn't. I mean. So that was good, and he was just a great guy. I mean, like, I feel like he tried to bring in a lot of stuff for personal development. So I mean, I feel super fortunate to have played under him, and so
yeah, he was under the gun pretty much the whole time he was there, you know. But it always seemed like he was having to deal with a lot of fires that weren't his own making. You know, he was always having to put out fires for people, and. And you know, when you're recruiting athletes from places that aren't used to having rules and discipline and things like that, you have to learn to deal with all these different kids from different places, and maybe dad's not around and teach you right from wrong, and he can't be there in the dorm with you when you're doing stupid shit or out on High Street, you know, and that I think he always got a bad rap, but he always seemed like a good guy, and good that he's bounced back and got back on his feet.
And I'm not surprised that he's like the president at YSU. I mean, just all my times around him. I mean, like, he was a leader. He liked being around youth and just helping develop. So I'm glad that he's got that role. I feel like it's probably a good thing for him. Just probably change of pace, get out of some of the craziness of football.
Yeah, right. So. Change of pace a little bit. I noticed coming in with the sand pit and the tires out there. Are you using a more functional fitness plan with some of your athletes? I mean, are they out there flipping tires as part of a Metcon? Is it part of the basic strength training, or?
Normally, like, we don't do a ton of Metcons.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just do more just like strength training. And then like if there's any need for like specific speed and agility stuff, like a lot of times the sport coaches will do that. So like after they're done lifting, they'll go have them run their agility ladders or 4-cone drills or whatever they have to do, just because like there's just so many athletes coming through.
Sure,
we can't like bounce over here, but there will be times where like we'll do like almost like special workouts where we'll have them like just change of pace, just because like if you have them go through like 8 weeks of just like strength training where it's like doing squats and clean next period, but it's more like cleans and rows and pull-ups and stuff like that. Like they kind of get burnt out on it.
Yeah, I know I do for sure.
Yeah, so we'll do like a week or like try and tie it into like different events. So like we'll do like a 4th of July workout, a Christmas workout, a Thanksgiving, Halloween, different stuff just to break it up. Go have some fun with the kids. And that's when we'll like have them flip tires or throw them in the sand, or like we'll make some fun Metcons where we kind of tie in the rep schemes to like 7-4 for 4th of July, stuff like that. So we do a lot more of that stuff just to change of pace. But we pretty much stick to like a lot of your traditional lifts and stuff like that.
What do you think about the Olympic lifts for young kids?
So
young athletes like the high school.
I actually really like it. I feel like having my background with strength training and how the body moves, like I like the challenge of getting them to do it. And so I make sure that they start off and they're just super technical. And we actually start before they do any Olympic lifting. Like I have them do, we call it our hang clean primer, where they just empty bar, and they just go through like 6 or 7 drills, 5 reps, just like making sure they get their elbows in the right position, making sure they're getting a full squat in, making sure they're getting a proper hip hinge for the second pull. So that way, like, their bodies already kind of know how to do that. So that way, like, they're ready for it. And I like to be a stickler on it. So that way they know how to do it. And I also like it because I feel like it forces them to use their athleticism. Mm-hmm. I feel like I know it's technical, and a lot of coaches don't like doing it because it's technical, but yet on the field, like, they're asked to do all these way more technical stuff. I mean, like, as an offensive lineman, thinking like, I have to back up at a certain angle to stop a guy running straight at me as fast as he can. Like, I feel like that is way more technically challenging than a clean. So it forces them to learn how to be more athletic. And so it's a balance between like how much they can do, and then how much we like really watch your technique, and just really like trying to explain to them like the reason why this clean wasn't as smooth was because, hey, maybe your weight was too far forward, the bar got too far forward, so you had to chase after it, and that's why you weren't in a good position. Yeah. But I feel like for the most part, like, by the time our athletes are getting to any significant weight, like, their technique is pretty sound. I mean, like, they're not going to go do Olympic lifting competition, but like, I'm not concerned about them getting injuries based off the quality that they do. And so I'm pretty comfortable with it, and I just think it's a slow progression. I mean, we start off every athlete, well, I start them off with front squats, and I actually do them no hands, so where they're almost like a zombie squat, hands out straight, because if you aren't balanced with it and in a good position, then you lose it. So like, they have to learn how to squat right. Like, the restraints of the exercise force them to do that. And I really am a fan of trying to put them in positions where like they have to figure it out without me having to give a ton of cueing. That's
a good way of looking at it, for sure. Yeah. Let them figure it out through movement.
Yeah. Because I think I'm not a good golfer. But like, whenever I go out with buddies to golf, they'll be like, oh, do this, like, keep this straight, keep your head down. And so like, well, I'm trying to backswing. Like, I have a zillion thoughts going through my head. Mm-hmm. And so like, and I think about that in the weight room. Like, I can't give them a zillion cues. I can't say like, keep this here and this there and do this and this. So like, try to put them in a position where they have to do it, and then maybe give them one cue.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I try not to overload them. I think about I do jiu-jitsu, and when they're showing you a move, they're going to give you 6 different points on how to get the. And I have such a short attention span for that, and I never find the move until we're actually in a free rolling situation where we're wrestling. And it's like, oh, there it is, bam. That's how I learn it. You know, it's so hard for me to take all 6 of those cues and do them perfectly in order every time. You know, it's probably too many head injuries as a kid, but yeah, if you keep these things so simple and let their bodies do, especially at this age when they're young and they don't have a lot of bad habits to get rid of, and just let them find it on their own.
I also like doing, like we'll back squat here, and we'll pretty much do almost all the movements. But I like doing it because as a therapist, like, I see so many athletes like 30 years later where then I have to correct it. Yeah. So my thought is like, I want to expose them to them now, so that way I can make sure they're doing it right. Yeah. So that way I don't see them 30 years later with a bunch of injuries because maybe they didn't get exposed to it early, and then they go off to college, and then they may not even be an athlete, but like, or they go off to like a functional fitness gym or something like that, where like they may not get proper coaching, and then they get injured. So I want to make sure that way they know how to do it right. So that way they go to college and they're lifting with their buddies, or they go to functional fitness gym or anything like that. And then they already know how to do it right. They're going to, hopefully they walk in there, and even if they haven't done it for 10 years or so, they can grab it and be on par or above average. So that way, like, they can do it and they don't have to, and they're not going to get injured.
Yeah. So one of the biggest problems I have as a gym owner is the 40-year-old ex-football player who comes in. And I would much rather work with the housewife who's never done anything, because now not only does this guy want to do it his way, but he's got injuries from doing it his way and all these horrible habits. And I've got to scrape away at all this crap before, and then try telling him he has to start with 25 pounds on each side of the bar instead of 45s. And
because they always view themselves as that 18-year-old athlete.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's hard. I mean, I know sometimes I view back to when I was playing football, like, oh, yeah, I used to squat X amount of weight, like, and then I have to like come back like, oh, you're like 50 pounds heavier and you did this all the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So like it's just how you kind of view yourself, and like having that real conversation like on what your ability is and listening to your coach.
Yeah, that's important, right?
Yeah.
Well, man, this has been really good. Like I said, I hope that Ohio State expands. Is it just in Columbus now, or are they moving outside the?
I mean, we're moving out into like some of the outskirts. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I know like kind of Granville area, so that's more east. But I mean, still, I would say like within like commuting distance for Columbus.
Right.
So I mean, like there's been no one that I've heard of outside of like a 30-40 minute drive from Columbus. But I think it's a great model. I mean, to almost have everyone like kind of in-house. So like have your strength coach, your athletic trainer, the doctors and stuff, because we can all communicate, just makes continuity of care so much better. I mean, that's one thing I love is like if I have an athlete that I'm seeing in the clinic, like I'm doing their strength conditioning here, or like if they're working with Jason, the strength coach, like I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
I can modify like, all right, in the clinic, we just started doing squats. Mm-hmm. So like you can do some, like I'll implement the exercise we're doing in the clinic here. So I know that they're getting the right stuff, because there's times where like if there's an athlete there at a whole different other school and stuff like that, and I'll be like, all right, tell your coach that you can do this, this, and this. I don't know how well if it's getting translated or how well it's getting translated. Like if it's getting a telephone game kind of thing where it just morphs into something. Or the same thing with athletic trainer, like, oh, they could start practicing like drills, but not live practice. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if the athlete then goes and tells them, even if I write up a slip and print it off and give it to him, I don't know what that's going to get.
You also don't know if you're dealing with some meathead coach too. It's like, you'll be fine.
Yeah. And so that's awesome. Like I talk to the coaches and I'll let them know, like, hey, they're good to do this, they're good to do this, talk to athletic trainers, this is what we're doing. So it just makes the model so much smoother.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's better for the athlete. Like we don't have like too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes, right.
Because that's one of the hardest things is if you have multiple people and they're like, you can do this, but you can't do this, and other people are like all these different viewpoints, like it's frustrating.
Yeah.
And it's hard enough being injured.
I would love for them to expand a little bit. My son is a freshman at Vermilion High School up near Cleveland, and I would love to see some kind of program implemented where I don't have to worry if he's doing things correctly or not. You know, I just know, I wouldn't have any problem bringing my son into this weight room or in Dan's weight room, just having talked to you for a couple of minutes and go, oh, okay, there's nothing, he's not going to be put through anything that is screwy, and everything's going to be done correctly. And this is a professional occupation, just like anything else. And you have to have some pride in your art, and you have to, like you said, do some continuing education and keep learning. And it's good to see that a program like this exists and that you guys are just doing it right down here.
Yeah. And one thing that I hope is that like I feel like there's definitely like keep up with the Joneses situation within high school athletics. So like if other school districts see like, oh, well, Tangi's doing this, well, we got to do it.
Yeah.
And then if that keeps happening, eventually like across the board, you'll have good level stuff everywhere, and then hopefully that just makes better products and less injuries, more competitive sports, and everything. So I mean, that's what I would love to see, and I feel like it's going that way. I think that if we were to sit down and have this same conversation 10 years from now, it'll be totally different.
Yeah.
Same way it was 10, like if we went back in time 10 years, had this conversation, it would be totally different.
Yeah. Like I said, just 1992. I know that sounds like a long time ago, but it's not that long ago that this wasn't an occupation. Yeah. You know, you had a couple guys in the nation doing it, and that was about it, even at the college level.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, I want to thank you for doing this, and we'll definitely do it again sometime. And if you're ever up in the Lorain County area, stop in the gym and
for sure
check it out. But
thank you for having me. This has been sweet.
We'll do it again sometime. All right, guys. This has been the Refined Savage. See ya.